Okay, so welcome back, guys. It's been a minute since I made a video, but I found a comment, and yeah, I've been thinking about just doing a little revision on the strategy, because the market is always evolving, so the strategy is always changing, but not changing completely. If you know, you know. So as always, we start out, always go all out in terms of the analysis. We start on our monthly. There's nothing really close here in terms of anything that the market can hold on to. And what do I mean by that? Like this fair value gap or imbalance is pretty far away from here, so to me that is irrelevant. And then if I go to the weekly, I see where price is. So that you understand what I see in my head, I'm going to draw this out. That's a low, it's a high, it's a lower low, it's a break, came back, retested, broke up even higher. So we are at this level here, which is our order block. So this candle is important, and you'll understand why. There was a setup here yesterday. So that is our OB, and then this right here is our high that's in our face at the moment. And then there's also another high here, but then irrelevant, too far away, especially on the weekly. So go down again to the daily. On the daily, what do we have? So on the daily, price has been moving down, and you'll understand why. So let's just go back one more time here. Okay, so this old high was taken out, so that you understand. When a high or a low is taken out, we always wait for some kind of structure shift. How do we see a structure shift? I've broken this down. It's a breaker. What is a breaker? Go through my videos. There's not a lot, literally like 3 of them. So yeah, you'll find it there. I've explained all these concepts before. This is just a revision to let you know the little tweaks that I've made as the market keeps evolving. Especially, we were very bullish at first on gold, and then now there seems to be a slight pullback, but then it might just be a slight pullback. But yeah, okay, so we don't look into the future, we just anticipate what's about to happen next, and that's as far as we go. So this high was taken out here, and then price started to break down. As you see, a high, a low, a high, there's a breaker there. Price came back, and we are still breaking down lower. So we're at this OB point right here. We'll see if price is gonna just keep on sliding through this area. And as I said, it looks like it was just a minor pullback, but we'll see. So I'm just highlighting all the important areas where I can expect price to draw to, or areas to look for potential setups. So okay, and then can move that high from there, can put it here. But then just for complete sake, so I just want to show you something so that you know that this is the old high we have here. So if I go to my 1 hour, you'll see how you could have taken advantage of this setup here. And obviously not the whole move unless you really like tapped in, but we are day traders, so we are holding maybe for 4 days, the longest. I try not to hold it throughout the weekend because of gaps, and the market has just been rather unpredictable. But anyway, moving on, we came through here, tapped, swept this old high the first time, swept it again, didn't do nothing, swept it another time, and then we finally broke down. And just for my first timers, what is a breaker? This is what I consider a breaker, and it could be vice versa, and the same thing for the opposite thing. This is a breaker, this is a breaker. So bullish, bearish breaker, yeah, it's not rocket science. Don't confuse it. Okay, so as you see here, price came up, broke down. Excuse me, I don't know what is in my throat. Hold on, the tool that I want, here we go. So as you know, I use DTFX in terms of finding my setups, and then also with a little spice of my own. And then because I started out with ICT, I still talk about the chart in an ICT way, but my strategy has nothing to do with ICT, if that makes sense, just so we are all on the same page. Anyway, whenever we have a breaker like this here, if you go back to my videos, you'll know that whenever we have a breaker like this here and there is a fair value gap before it reaches our 70% or 50% or 30% mark, what do? We have to use the fair value gap, because that means price does not have to come in all the way here. And then how would we enter? Well, our entries are on the 15-minute. So right here, so as you see, again, what did I say? Bread and butter. This would have been your entry: high, low, displacement right over there. So what do? Does that mean now you have to enter on the order block candle? No, there is a displacement. So entry on the displacement, stop on the high, like so. Entry halfway there or there. Yeah, I never like to take too many chances, so I just enter immediately and then put my stop at a safe area, which would have been above here. Okay, some people do try and try to save as much as possible, but you are going to lose trades. It's part of the game. You can't win every single one. Impossible. So yeah, so this was going to be the trade setup here. There was no specific low area, so you're going to have to watch a trade like this here, but I'm just showing you how the strategy works and that it still works. Exactly same thing, just a few things have changed, and if I don't mention them, that means it has changed. So we go back over here, and then price kept on breaking down here. And why? We swept this old daily high right here, and then we start to break down with a displacement, showing us that we now have what? Bearish market structure. Sorry, there just went blank. And as you see, we've been bearish, rather very bearish, and then until we tapped into what? This is a weekly. So this is where these things come very important. Weekly OB. On our weekly OB, daily OB, monthly OB, daily old high, daily old low, all we are waiting for is for price to shift structure. A displacement, even better, but sometimes there's no displacement, there's just a shift in structure. And I've shown you a breaker. That's what I mean. Shift in structure, a breaker, market structure shift. I'm trying to think what Dave calls this thing. Anyway, yeah, a protected high or protected low, all of that good stuff, whatever you call it. Okay, so moving on down here, price was very bearish, so choppy but bearish. We consolidated a little bit, and then we came to, again, we tapped into our weekly OB. Was there a market structure shift here after tapping? Not as yet. Not as yet, because why? We did not close over here. So if you trying to understand why I have the fractals, you have to watch the videos before, because it explains why I have the fractals. It'll make your life easier once you understand their purpose. They're not an indicator. They don't tell me where to go in. They just confirm a certain thing for me. Whenever price closes above a fractal, I know that it is a clean market structure shift. If it closes below, it is a clean market structure shift. And then the part where it gets slightly intricate is that if our market structure shift, if we have a shift, or if we don't have a shift. So for example, let's say that price does this here, and then, so let's do this, and then gives us a gap like this here, but we have a daily or weekly or old low that has been taken out. We can find a setup within here by waiting on the 15-minute, capitalizing with that area. So within that gap, stop loss on the low, and then you aim for these highs. That would be your setup. And then obviously I've also broken down that you can kind of babysit your trades, where you gently move your stop accordingly. But yeah, okay, moving on. So as you see here, we didn't have a market structure shift, because if this is the low, so if this is the high, this is the low, price would have to close above here for us to have a full market structure shift. But what happened? Price came down again into our weekly OB, and then it gave us what? A displacement. A displacement is letting you know that there is volatility in the market, which means this area is going to be sensitive, which says that a setup from here going up is possible. We don't know how big it may be, how small it may be, but a setup is possible. As you see, it came down here one time, boom, we created a fractal, so it was a low, and it was a liquidity sweep right there. And I've explained liquidity sweeps. Once we have them, all you need to do is just, if you miss the first one, it goes up like that there, then you wait for price to sweep it again. And as you see, this move here was rather short-lived, and it did it again. So let's see how that looked, if everything panned out accordingly. Or okay, as a rule of thumb, if a breaker goes into a fair value gap, don't take that entry. You always want to make sure that your fair value gap is first tapped through before entering. My cat wants to just follow me everywhere, bear with me. But yeah, but then hypothetically speaking, let's say that I did go in here, so trade, I was going to be aiming for these highs around here, unless there's like a 1 hour fair value gap above there. So we're going to get stopped out, but as I said, it's part of the game. But look what happens. Liquidity sweep again, you wait for a breaker. Over here we have a breaker, stop loss on the low, entry on the OB right there. You aim for what? Here's the liquidity level here, boom, right there. So if you are patient and if you know how to play the game, you go in nice and easy, small enough to not wreck yourself if you lose 2-3 times, so that you can recover. One trade can change the day. So we keep on moving forward. So right now, if I go to my daily, okay, price is taking out this low here. This is why the fractals are important. I hope it's clicking, like you are understanding what I'm saying, and if not, watch the videos again, go through them and ask. And if you don't understand what I'm saying, leave me a comment, and yeah, more than happy to break things down. Okay, and then as you see here, so we've recently taken out this low, and after taking out this low, did we have a market structure shift? Not as yet. Price came down again, took out this low now, so we can take out that one. We took out this low, and what happened? We had a market structure shift, and we have a displacement. So here's our zone right there. But then what's the rule of thumb? If there is a fair value gap within our zone, then we must not wait for it to come into what? The 70%, 50%, or 30%, because price is going to use this area here as a springboard to go up, especially if it has now created a protected high, a market structure shift. When we're coming back, yes, price can do what? Where it will come down here, go up a little bit, and then maybe come back down again, stop you out here, and then go up a bit, and then come back down here, and then go up. That's part of the game. Like, yeah, that's part of the game. You know, it's like any game. You don't pass the level the first time unless you've just been playing unless you've been playing the game like a real student and reading all the FAQs and shit and all that, you know. But the first time you play a game, you just but yeah, so but you still can lose. That's what I'm trying to say. And then, so as you see, this has been the trade setups that's been moving since yesterday. So right there, there's a fair value gap there, so we created a breaker right into that area there. Boom, stop loss on the low, aim for the high, or you can babysit the trade. It depends, you know, because to me the daily structure is not yet bullish, but if this candle closes above this area here, then I know that we might be changing structure and we might be bullish, or we are just coming up to fill in this fair value gap here and then keep going down. But as I said, we can just only anticipate one move at a time. We can't anticipate everything altogether. So yeah, that's that. And